Joining us on the show is a security consultant, trainer, and strategist to businesses and governments across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Our own Dr. Charles Omole, who is also a lawyer. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you, ladies. Thanks for having me.
Dr. Omole, I'm going to try to have this conversation into the operational architecture of the police, the welfare, and also the way forward.
Well, I mean, one could pick any point as the divergent point in terms of history of policing in Nigeria, but the easiest that come to mind will be in 1966. Up until that point, Nigerian Police was a preeminent security organization in the country. Okay. After the Ironsi coup, the military actually realized that the police was better than they were better. The police were present in every local government. They had the communication systems. And the Nigerian military was very small then, so they needed the police. So police was like the bride of the military. From that point onwards, I felt the police moved their eyes away from the citizenry and focused it on governance. From that point onwards, everything that happened to the police was now about preservation of government, not preservation of the people.
Wow.
So from that point, but sadly, what happened was they became a victim of their own decision. And the complaint then was that the native police and regional police were very corrupt. In fact, if you read the report and remove 1966 and put 2000, it looks like exactly today. So all the problems, we're complaining about existed then. So Ironsi put together an expert panel, and the recommendation of the panel was that all the police should be merged into one. So by 1968, the native police, the regional police, were all collapsed into the Nigerian police force.
The police do not have as much, or are not given as little as stationaries and even money to get fuel, which is supposed to be in line with best practices, like they are supposed to have that. And he's traveled all around, and that is what happens. And it wasn't so 35 years ago when he was in that system. So my question to you is, what happened? At what point did we lose the focus?
Well, in terms of the resources available to the police, it is true that what we have in Nigeria today is policing by donation, not policing by government funding. I think, again, looking at the detailed analysis, I would say that probably the major key point was 1999. Because up until 1999, when Obasanjo came in as the president, we've had almost a decade of no recruitment in the police at all. And the number was roughly about 100,000 police officers. And that clearly was inadequate. So Obasanjo announced massive recruitment, 50,000 a year, new officers. But the problem with that is the funding that was made available to the police was only funding for salaries of those additional. So we moved from 100,000 to almost 300,000 police officers in 4 years. But then the resources available was only for the salaries. In 1999, the government also introduced what we call the envelope funding, which was a big problem for not just the police, but every other organization, which is, okay, we've approved 1 billion for you, for example, and then you say, okay, here's the 1 billion approved. So actually, here's 200,000. Go and start with that, come back later. And then you have a situation where by December of that year, maybe only 40% or 50% of your approved budget have been released.
One of the major issues people are protesting against, apart from the police brutality part of it, is the extortion by policemen. It's that we don't have ability to walk freely and walk up to policemen without feeling like I'll need to pay for the services I'm about to receive. And if I don't pay well, I won't get the service I need. And what can the legislature be doing towards solving it? Maybe you'd want to start with explaining why that is, but obviously we know because they don't have funding. But what can be done? What should the protesters be saying to help address this part of they don't have enough money and they're always asking us, the citizens, to supply them money?
Well, I call that the economy of corruption within the police. The truth is, if the governors stop funding police and the private sector stop funding the police and all the extortion stops, Nigerian police can't last 3 days. It's as simple as that. They don't have the resources. So you have a situation where DPOs, repair police vehicles themselves. you have a situation where, I mean, the current one now is you have these new recruits into the police, which is happening right now as I speak. And, you know, they've not been paid since, you know, there's some kind of tough war between the police and the Police Service Commission on who has right to recruit. But the point is, these new guys now, so they now say, okay, you need to be put on the new payroll, federal government payroll system, which requires all the new constables to go to Abuja for verification.
Biometrics.
So how do they get to Abuja? I've heard some CPs levying their DPOs 30,000 each. They find 30,000 to give to each of these constables to be able to go to Abuja. And the DPOs, many of them have come back to me and said, where do I get 30,000 per constable from? You see, you know, there are...
That's the root of the problem.
Yes. You know, they need generator, they need fuel for the generator in the office. You know, these things have to be funded somehow.
Right.
So there's a silent, almost cultural, unspoken, exactly, that money will have to come somehow outside the normal provisions.